Welcome to Pyramid Times. Myself Veena Suruvu, a holistic healer and also VP at Pyramid Times. And we have with us wonderful guest, very special guest, Dr. Linda Howe. Dr. Linda Howe is an award-winning author, teacher, and world-renowned leading expert in the field of Akashic studies. She was the first person to bring the Akashic records to the world community and make teachable access to the records available to anyone with a desire to learn starting in 1996. She founded the Linda Howe Center for Akashic Studies in Chicago in 2001, teaching thousands of people globally. Howe focuses on Akashic records as a spiritual resource for personal empowerment and transformation. And she is also an author of 3 books, including the groundbreaking book, which is How to Read the Akashic Records. And her second book is Healing Through the Akashic Records. And third book, Discover Your Soul's Path Through the Akashic Records. So with this, I welcome Dr. Linda Howe to Pyramid Time Show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is my great honor to be with you today. I have some exciting news. Can I tell you now?
Yes.
Yes. My 4th book will come out in January of 21. It is called Inspired Manifesting Through the Akashic Records. Elevate your energy, ignite your dreams. So that will come in January.
That is amazing. I have went through all of your 3 books. Those are the most practical information that is provided in the Akashic Records books, and also it's so simple. You put it, simplified the knowledge and wisdom, and you have connected the other realms in the most simplistic way, I could say.
Oh, good. Do you know, I have learned for myself, it is deceptively simple. It seems so simple. How could it be so powerful? But it's true, yeah?
Yes. So
yes. Oh, I'm happy to know this.
Yeah, for people over here, the viewers of Pyramid Times want to hear from you directly. What are the Akashic records?
Okay, wonderful. This is it's an important question because we always want to start at the beginning, yes? Even if we can be so advanced in many practices, it is, with the Akashic record, we want to be able to understand. So first we know that Akasha, you know this, it's a Sanskrit word, yes? And what it means is primary substance, that from which all things are formed. So we're talking about the the raw essence of life before we start engaging with it, with our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, yeah? So the Akashic record is a vibrational archive of every soul and their human journey, okay? Now, because it's vibrational, it's invisible. We never see the record, not with our ordinary eye, and we don't even see it with the strong eye. Right? There is nothing to see, okay? It is vibrational, but it is, but when we touch it, when we make the encounter, it is very real and unforgettable, okay? So it's vibrational. It's an archive, and so that's a collection or a treasury. It's of every soul. So this means everybody who has ever been in human form, right, is included. So I couldn't, if I am mad at someone, I can't say, oh, I will take you out of the records. No, it's not possible. Everyone is in, okay? And it's about the human journey. Now, I know there are many people who have the understanding that we move from human to animal, sometimes to extraterrestrial. This may or may not be true. I don't know. What I do know is that the Akashic record doesn't address it. The Akashic record addresses the soul on its human journey. Okay, that's really what the record is. Now, every set of records, like your records, everybody's, every individual has records. And there are two parts to each set. The first part is permanent. It's fixed. It is not changing. The other part is evolving. It's emerging. It changes over time. Yes. So sometimes when people say to me, the Akashic record is permanent. Well, this is true. There are other people who will insist the Akashic record is always changing. This is also true. And these two parts of the set of the records travel together. Okay. And this is how that works. The permanent part, like the permanent part of your records, is your ultimate potential. At the inception of the soul, there is what I have come to understand as a divine impression woven into the fabric of the soul. It is, we can think of it as the soul's code or the blueprint of the soul. Now, I know it's a little tricky because those are visual words, right? But we don't see, we never see a blueprint like for a building. No. But it is as if your destiny has been etched into the very fabric of your soul. Yeah, that is permanent. It is good. It's actually magnificent. Yes. Now, what travels along with that is a catalog of all the lifetimes you live, past, present, future. Yeah. All the lifetimes you live through which you awaken to this ultimate potential. First, we awaken, we become aware, and then we begin to live it, right? We begin to demonstrate the highest ideal for who we are while we're still here on earth. Now, I know many spiritual seekers have great clarity about their potential, their magnificence, their infinite nature, especially when they don't have bodies. When we don't have bodies, it's like, oh, it's so exciting. It is though, right? But, and we remember, we know the truth, but we come to this planet, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, it takes many lifetimes for us to recognize, like, oh, wait a minute, there seems to be more here than meets the eye. Yes. And then it takes some lifetimes to recognize those things and to grow into them and to actually experience and express our magnificence while we're still in very imperfect human form. So the second part of the records is evolving, yes? And I like to think of this as the chronicles of you. It is the stories of the lifetimes you live through which you awaken to your ultimate potential and then live that potential. So that's really what the record is, right? And we can look at it from so many different angles. I find it very helpful to understand that it is not a very good oracle for divination. It is not so good for fortune telling. I'm sorry. It is an infinite spiritual resource. It is a space. So it's not a deity, right? We don't pray to the records. We don't worship the records. We don't implore the records because the records they won't interfere, right? They won't do anything to us and they really won't do anything for us. Instead, they exist as a comprehensive field of everything from within which we can really first of all, it's emotionally completely safe. The records are governed by the three absolutes: fear not, judge not, resist not. So it's a very emotionally safe environment, which is really important for human beings. So we go into that, and then the light, the Akashic light, is very pure. And it empowers our own natural and developing ability to recognize our own goodness and the goodness in everyone else. We begin to see beyond appearances. This Akashic light, it shines on the soul, yeah? And what it does is makes it easier for us to become aware of all the great wisdom, the insight, the compassion that each one of us has been cultivating for lifetimes. So it's really, so it's not like, we don't worship it, which is good, right? We are co-creative partners with our record, and our part in the relationship or the equation, yeah, our part is the human part. Yeah, there's the human part and the spiritual part. Yeah, and so we work together, and it's very exciting. I hope, am I answering your question?
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Oh, good. What else?
Yeah, so how does Akashic reading or healing help a person's life?
Okay, it's very interesting. We want to understand that healing through the Akashic record is spiritual. Okay, so we are not psychologists, unless you're a psychologist, of course. But Akashic record practitioners are. It's in the family of spiritual counseling, spiritual insight, guidance, and wisdom. Okay, we are talking about spiritual healing. Now, when we work in the record, like many people have had difficult things happen. I mean, everybody does in the course of their life. I mean, it's part of what happens here on Earth, right? Imperfect people banging into each other, things happen, right? So in the record, we do not, we cannot change the past. That's a little delusional if you think of it. We don't, but from a record standpoint, everything that occurs has positive value for us. And so we want to begin to look and see, how could this possibly be beneficial for me, right? Now, what happens when we shine Akashic light on a very painful experience? Whether it's recent or in the distant past, doesn't matter. Pain has a way of burrowing in and living, right? Keeping itself alive. So when we go into the record, we're able to recognize, first of all, the human reality of what has occurred, right? Whether someone hit us with the frying pan or, terrible things happen, we know this. Okay, we recognize the reality. And the challenge is to learn to love and respect ourselves, even though we have suffered a horrible injustice of some type. Okay, I know here in the United States, probably the worst thing anyone can be is a victim. In America, we hate victims. We're like, rah! Especially spiritual people, like, oh, being a victim. But the truth is, human beings have been victims forever. And all this being mad at ourselves for being victims has not stopped us from being victims. My observation. What I have learned in the records is that if I can appreciate myself, even though I have been a victim, even though I couldn't stop someone from, robbing me, punching me in the nose, whatever they did, right? Even though at that time I was unable to stop the transgression, how do I love myself? Life loves us even though we're not perfect, right? So what happens when we work in the record is we begin to transform our relationship with some of the horrible things that have occurred, right? By accepting the reality of the situation, okay? By accepting our part in it, right? Sometimes it's so funny. I recently was talking to a woman who had been abused by her father when she was a little girl. And it was it was such an interesting conversation because she was talking about herself. She was in her late 30s. She was talking about the situation when she was about 7, as if she was a 30-year-old woman. It's like, no, that's not, you were really a little girl. and this was really an adult. Of course you went along with it. Do you see, to understand the human reality of a situation we were in, even if you can cure the sick, you know what I'm saying? Even if you can give the blind their sight, these are wonderful things. But the fact of the matter is we live in a human reality. And fascinating to me is that from a record standpoint, the records, of course, are based on reincarnation, right? That the soul lives many lifetimes. Now, when I first came in the records, this is so funny, I had the idea we had good lifetimes, bad lifetimes, right? And at the end, we would zero out. In the records, what I have come to understand is that the opportunity of reincarnation is to grow into unconditional love for the self, others, and all of creation. So with everything that happens, the question is, how do I love and respect myself, even though I had this unfortunate situation? Often we want others to be like, oh, my little darling, right? To make nice for us, to make us feel better. They can't, it's not so helpful. What is ultimately liberating is the self-acceptance and working in the records. Because see, the records never say, oh, you're terrible. The records, it never, right? Even when we've been ridiculous, and some of us have, right? The records say things like, do you know, it's too bad that you did that, but it's okay. I think, my heavens, they're too nice, right? But it is unconditional love in action. So when we work in the records, it's a spiritual practice. Spiritual is all about love. It's about the experience and application of the reality of love to ourselves and others. So in the healing process, we accept reality, the human reality without judgment, right? Second, the focus is on ourselves, right? And I know other people do terrible things. It's all true. But we know the light that's in me is in that person as well. Who knew? I used to think I was supposed to give them light. Well, that doesn't make sense. They have light. I don't have to worry about them. The problem is, can I treat myself with kindness, even though I am imperfect? Do you know this, Veena, that the records really embrace spiritual paradox? Yes. And one of the fundamental paradox is this, that we are, right? I am, right? First, as a soul, infinite, eternal, immortal, unlimited. Yes, it's all true. It is also true as a human being. I am a mere mortal. I am flawed. There's an expiration date here. I didn't always have white hair. I used to be blonde. Do you understand? There are physical realities to the human experience. And as we work in the record, we find it possible to live in the truth of both without judging, right? It's okay to be human. And then, do you know what's really been fascinating over my years is that the Akashic light, it's first of all, it's pure, it's impeccable. I mean, it's really great, right? It has integrity, yes? So it is what we would call a perfect light. This perfect light shines through imperfect people. That is stunning to me, that the light will use us even when we are a work in progress. right? So what that really means is on the worst day of your life, that the light comes through you, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. That a perfect light could be transmitted through, I mean, if you look at all the people in the world, everybody's a little bit wacky in their own way. And you think, but they still love. Everyone has terrible experiences. And yet they love, they give, they share, right? They strive to improve their lives for themselves and those they love. That is, it's like so moving to me that the perfect light, the perfect life, the perfect love will use us. So I have come to understand. Do you know, when I first came on the path, I thought, the purpose of the spiritual journey is to get perfect, and then I'll go participate. No. Life says, come on, even though you're imperfect, Linda, get off the bench. Life, that the purpose of the spiritual journey is to discover our usefulness, our fulfilling usefulness. Because, you know, this is another thing, you know, that all human beings have a deep desire to give. We can't help it. It's the way we're built. And it's good, right? It's a good thing. However, for many, many centuries, we believed that the best way to give was to give to the point where we would make ourselves sick, we would be martyrs, we would drop dead. I mean, we wore ourselves, we hurt ourselves in giving. And we thought that was good. That's why we did it. It was the best idea we had. Now the idea, the new age, new ideas, right? The new idea is this. How do I give in a way that nurtures me? See, this is it's not like I give to you and I suffer. Now listen, my grandmothers did that. And they were always upset about something. But if I give to you, right? If I give to you in a way that nurtures me, we both win. Because see, the age of martyrdom is over. But the age of giving, the age of true giving, empowering giving has just begun. So we're in the most exciting of times as far as I can tell. And I know it's messy out there. I know that. You know, I have whatever. I have a life. I have a son. I have a mate. I mean, all these things. It's like, whoa, it's kind of wild out there right now. You know, it's okay. I mean, it's awful and it's okay. You know, I wear my mask. And it's okay. So what else? I'm sorry. I just, you know, this is, you can tell, you know, this is such my favorite topic, right? Because too, over the years, you know, I came into the records in 1994. After I had been on the path for 16 years, I was looking, there has to be a way to make a connection that inspires more aliveness. Yeah. And after 16 years of searching, I came upon the records. I was flabbergasted, right? But what was funny to me was I thought, oh, maybe, you know, I don't know, maybe this will be good for a few months, a year. And I made a promise to myself, I would stay with this until it all dried up. That was in 1994. It's now 2020. It's been 26 years. And I'm, you know, and there's more because it is an infinite spiritual resource. And I've come to understand that working in the record is not an event. It's not like I go into the record, I have an event, I close it, I walk away. It's about a spiritual practice, right? It's about having a space of spiritual insight, guidance, and wisdom, a space of truth from within which it is easier to recognize who I am, my part in things, to make adjustments in my interpretations and understandings, to actually grow away from fear and grow into the experience and the expression of love. So
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it's really, but you know, this is not what I expected. I mean, you understand that. I thought, oh, whatever this is, I'll check it out. And here I am all these years later.
That's so great work. Indeed, many, if they can know about these Akashic records, their lives would be easy no matter what they are going through.
Yes. Well, do you know what? I mean, this is an interesting thing because when we work in the record, right? I mean, you understand this, right? First, we, you know, so we address our personal concerns, right? Things about grievances against ourselves. Oh, yeah, they will really keep us back. Then we have our relationships with others, right? And it turns out that this is an opportunity for real peace, right? That the purpose of our relationships, even when they're terrible, is that we come to love ourselves, that we find peace within ourselves, no matter who's in our life, no matter what they're doing. Now, the good news is the records do not say, oh, you have to be with people who are like abusive. No. But see, you know, the old idea used to be that if we send them light and we send them love and we do whatever, they will change. The records do not, the records appreciate the fact that we are not here to change others. We are not, other people get to be jerks. The question is, who will I be? Will I stay? Will I go? Right? And for many, many people, they say, oh, I did, you know, I was with this terrible person because in a past life. Well, I mean, that may or may not be true, but here's the idea. We are only with people. No one intentionally ever says, I'm going to go find somebody who treats me like a dirty shirt. No one on the face of the earth. Sometimes we have very confused ideas about what love is. Sometimes we have the deep belief that we are unworthy of love. And sometimes the most we can allow ourselves to have is someone who treats us terribly. It is our growth that's involved. You know, then we all want, you know, freedom from limiting patterns. Yes. I mean, please, we all want that, right? So we shine the records on them, and turns out that some of us are really afraid to be really free. Because in prior incarnations, we may have had experiences where freedom was a bad thing, right? Freedom was a dangerous thing. It got us into trouble. Sometimes we have people in our family who have been very free, who've been ostracized, and maybe have been a little bit off the beam. So to many of us, we think we want freedom, but we must make peace with ourselves about our freedom, right? The kind of freedom we want, the kind of freedom we're afraid of. Because as we accept where we are now, we can go free. You understand this, you know, karma. I love karma, right? I love the idea of karma. I don't like to live through it, but anyway, karma, right? Cause and effect. That's all it is, right? Now, if I eat too many cakes, my jeans don't fit. Karma. Okay, now, stuck karma happens when I have a negative judgment about myself, other people involved, or the situation. And when I have a negative opinion about a situation, whether it's what I'm eating, whether it's somebody I'm in a relationship with, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I will have opportunity after opportunity to re-experience that until I accept and make peace with who I am, the choices I've made, and the other people involved. Now, it doesn't mean I have to be happy about it. I don't say, oh, isn't this great? No, I could say, this is really terrible, but this is really real. Yeah. Okay. And obviously, this was the best idea I had at the time. I didn't know it was such a bad idea. I didn't know it would end up hurting me. Yeah. Because see, what releases karma is acceptance. From an Akashic perspective, acceptance facilitates release. Okay, so the records don't get in there and cut us free. No, no, no. It's our own acceptance. Like, oh, right? Oh, this is really the way it is. And from there, I can make new choices, inspired choices, right? And where do we make choices? Now, right? We understand, and certainly in the records, you know, whether something happened 10,000 years ago or this morning, the power is always in the present moment. That's where it is. So when I make a selection now, a new selection, it's got some life, right? It's got a pulse. It's not just an idea. It's the whole self. So a lot of the healing that we do, and see, once we do this, then we're ready to go out into the, you know, we can go out into the world. We keep moving out into the world in greater and greater ways, right? And with all these, the self-awareness and the demonstrations, then what happens is we can go into the world and be who we always hoped we would be, because that's who we really are.